you considering divorce? Are you dealing with it now? Are you on the other side and not sure what comes next? You've come to the right place. Welcome to the Divorce Do's and Don'ts Show with your host, Lisa C. Decker.
Hello and welcome. We're so glad you're here at the Divorce Do's and Don'ts Show. I'm Lisa Decker, your host, as a certified divorce financial analyst and a real estate collaboration specialist in divorce. I'm also the founder and CEO of Divorce Money Matters and Divorce Town USA, the sponsor of this show. So we are so happy to have you here today because this month is October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and we want to help as many viewers as possible to bring awareness, not only awareness, but to find practical help to keep them, their children, and even their pets safe. Because, we've learned that a lot of people who are in those situations will not leave the situation because they have nowhere to go with their pets. So today, we are happy to welcome Myra Resnick. She is the Executive Director of Ahimsa House to our show. Myra has 21 years of experience in crisis intervention, victim service delivery, and program development. She received her bachelor's degree in psychology at James Madison University with a concentration in women's studies. And she is dedicated to ending violence against women and is an avid animal lover. Me too. Marrying these passions, Ms. Resnick joined Ahimsa House as the Program Services Coordinator in 2007, at which time she developed and now implemented Ahimsa House's Direct Services Program and now serves in her current role. So Myra, welcome to our show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
We are excited to have you here to share about the amazing work that Ahimsa House does. And before we launch into that, can you explain the meaning of the word Ahimsa so it gives a context around this, a frame?
Sure. The word Ahimsa means nonviolence in Sanskrit, and it was chosen by our founder, Emily Christie, years ago when she founded Ahimsa House.
Perfect name then. So now that makes sense. So why is this organization necessary?
Yes, so we specifically address the connection between domestic violence and animal cruelty.
I think we have some slides to go with this we're waiting on. They'll be up in a second here, and I'm going to let you keep talking.
Sure. So the reason that we exist is because over half of U.S. households have pets, and pets are a member of our family. These days, they usually live inside with us. They're a member of the family. And so because of that, they also experience family violence when it's occurring in the home. We know that pets are a powerful tool for abusers to control their victims. One nationwide survey reported that victims report that their abusers threatened, harmed, or even killed a family pet. 27% of our own clients report that abusers threatened or harmed a pet in front of children. And it sends a powerful message to the victims that if I can do this to the dog, I can do this to you. And we also know that up to half of victims reported that they delayed seeking safety for themselves out of concern for a pet. Because so many domestic violence shelters across the country don't have accommodations for pets on site. So when someone's trying to leave, they're unable to take their pet into shelter with them. And oftentimes people aren't even going into shelter. They're going to go stay with friends or family, but maybe they can't take their pets for a variety of reasons, allergies or, breed restrictions when you're leasing, things like that. So it can be a real barrier for survivors who are trying to leave and trying to escape abuse.
Wow.
Next slide.
Next slide. There we go.
Yeah, so this is the power and control wheel, and this is something that's used and has been used for years to explain the dynamics of domestic violence. And there are so many different factors that go into it, from economic abuse, coercion and threats, you see that pets are listed there under intimidation. Like I mentioned before, if I can do this to the family pet, I can do this to you. They use that connection with the pets as a way to control their victims. But pets also fit into this wheel in so many other ways. Even economic abuse. I've taken calls on our crisis line where the abusers will not let them spend money on the pets. They won't let them take them to the vet. They won't let them get their spayed or neutered. They won't let them get basic veterinary care. Isolation, the pets are also isolated. So many of them, if they come into our program, they are not used to being around people. They've been isolated too. They haven't been around other pets and people. So there are behavioral issues that we have to deal with when they come in. Next slide. And so this is just a quote from one of our clients that we helped. And she said, without Ahimsa House, my dog would have never gotten out of that home alive, and neither would I. And it just really exemplifies the need for this type of service. And our model is a little bit different. We provide boarding and veterinary care and foster home care for pets temporarily while their owners and survivors are seeking safety, be that in domestic violence shelter or with friends or family where they can't take their pet. And then we reunite them once they're out, they have safe and stable housing, and then they're able to reclaim their pet when they're out and can get that housing.
And I'm just so proud to know of your organization, because I have seen it in action. We were talking before the show started about a client that reached out to me many years ago, who lived in another state, but she had horses and cows, and her husband at the time had literally killed one of the baby calves and left it in front of the door of the cabin that she was living in on the property, as a sign of what could happen. And you're talking about all of that. That was a prime example. And she just wouldn't leave because she wouldn't leave the animals. And so I reached out to Ahimsa House and connected her. And so many wonderful people came into being to help foster those animals and take care of them. And she was able to get the help she needed. It was a wonderful experience to see that your organization in action. Just so much love. It was beautiful. So besides fostering and boarding, what other services does Ahimsa House provide?
Yes, we have a 24-hour crisis line. On that, we receive calls from all over for people requesting help and assistance with their pets, and we're able to connect them to services. We do safety planning. So it's the most dangerous time for a survivor is when they're leaving. So it can be a really dangerous and difficult situation. So we do a lot of safety planning on our crisis line. We also provide veterinary care for the pets who are in our program, both basic veterinary care, a well check, any preventative vaccinations or anything like that they may need. But we also provide veterinary care for treatment of injuries or illnesses due to neglect or abuse, which we do see. I know you mentioned the person you were working with, unfortunately, her cow was killed. We have dogs and cats and other animals that have been wounded by the abuser, and oftentimes that's the impetus for the survivor deciding they need to leave, they need to get out. So we treat those injuries and heal the pet back to health while the owner is kind of seeking safety for themselves. We also provide transportation services. So we provide Uber and Lyft rides. So many times people have a very small window in which they can get out, that they're left alone. So we have a relationship with those providers. We're able to get someone an Uber or a Lyft if it's available in their area really quickly. We can usually do intake into our program within 24 hours. We provide hotel stays. Sometimes shelter beds aren't available. So we provide short-term hotel stays where people can stay with their pets. And we also offer pet deposits. So when people are reclaiming their pet and going into their new housing, we're able to provide pet deposits. Sometimes that can be upward of $700, $800. And people don't just have that kind of money laying around. So we cover those pet deposits for them. We also provide supplies upon reunification, just to kind of get them started, some food and leashes or collars or crates or whatever it is that they may need just to kind of get started again.
Oh, what a godsend for these beautiful animals. What brought about the idea, I'm curious, for the founder of the organization?
Yeah, so Emily was in an abusive relationship and she went to go to shelter and she brought her cat along with her in a cat carrier and just showed up at the shelter with her cat and they said, you can't bring your cat in here. And so she ended up having to find an acquaintance, someone she barely knew, to help take care of her cat, Luna. And when she was getting out, she couldn't reach that person. She tried over and over and they just disappeared and she never saw her cat again. And she decided that nobody should have to choose between their safety and that of a beloved pet. So she did all of the work herself. It was very grassroots getting started. She did everything to kind of get this organization up and running and able to provide these services.
You know, I call that finding the gift within. Look at what has happened and come about from her experience. So, you know, I hope that cat was okay, her beloved pet, but so many more have been helped because of that situation. That sounds like a God thing at work right there. Definitely. So what is your service area, and are there any other programs like Ahimsa House?
So our service area is Georgia. We serve all 159 counties in Georgia. We're unique in that way because of our model and the fact that we call ourselves decentralized, but the fact that we are able to kind of house pets anywhere at vets offices, boarding facilities, foster homes. We have a large network throughout the state. So we're able to help all of Georgia. And that just came organically over time. You know, at first it was when Emily started, certainly it was Metro Atlanta was the service area. And then just as word of the program spread, we started getting calls from all over the state. And so this need arose, you know, to sort of go from a shelter, which at the time she had an animal shelter that she was running, to decentralize this program so that we're able to help more people in a larger service area. So we do serve all of Georgia. There are other programs like us, none that I'm aware of that are a statewide organization that provide the wraparound services that we have, the 24-hour crisis line with trained domestic violence advocates on staff. But there are other programs. There are smaller community-based programs. Sometimes it's the Humane Society partnering with their local domestic violence shelter. It has become an issue throughout the country now that people are starting to recognize that is a real problem. And so shelters have started providing on-site accommodations for pets, and there are grants available for that. And so they're having, you know, kennels built on site and things like that to accommodate pets. But that doesn't necessarily mean all pets are a great fit for that type of an environment. So we're able to fill in those gaps, even with domestic violence shelters here in Georgia that do provide accommodations. We still provide the veterinary care, and we still help out with some of the other issues and animals who aren't appropriate for their shelter. And then there is a website, the Animal Welfare Institute has created a search database by zip code for you to find programs that are pet friendly, domestic violence programs that are pet friendly in your area, and it's searchable by zip code. And you can find that on www.awi.org.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Thank you for that resource. I'm curious, how long ago was Ahimsa House organized as a 501c3 charity, and how many domestic violence victims and pets? Do you have any statistics on that over the long haul?
Sure. So, yes. So we were founded in 2004 by Emily. And as I mentioned at the time, it was a shelter. She had a facility. And then when we became decentralized in 2007, that's when we started serving a much larger area and we started serving all of Georgia. And this year alone, we've had 330 pets from 261 clients. That's just this year alone. Wow. We've had almost 3,500 calls to our 24-hour crisis line. At one time this year, we had the largest number of pets we've ever had in our program at 90 something at one time. Of course, as you can imagine, the pandemic has created some ongoing issues, not only related to housing, which has been a major hurdle for people who are in our program at the time, Finding housing has been extremely difficult. People are staying in our program longer. They're staying in shelters longer. So we're having to extend those times while pets are in our program. So it creates a much larger capacity for us, but we've been able to meet that capacity so far.
Wow. And over all the years, do you have any numbers on that?
I don't right now, but it is, I know that we've had over 150,000 nights of safe shelter that we've provided for animals throughout Georgia
Wow,
since
that's
inception.
incredible.
Mhm.
Amazing. And
And I do know it's also over 3,000 pets. We just hit our 3,000 pet mark last month.
wow. And without that, the work that you're doing here, that would be people who are stuck in those situations. Do you find that most of the people that reach out to you are women? I know statistically, women are the ones that are abused, but do you ever have men reach out?
We do. So statistically, women are more likely to be victims of domestic violence. So we obviously serve majority women, but we have plenty of men who have been in our program over the year. Men can be victims as well. And so we do serve them. And a lot of the domestic violence shelters have started accepting men on site as well. And if they're not, we're able to help find some accommodations and just help them temporarily with their pets as well.
Well, wonderful. Wonderful. And how do you encourage Ahimsa House, encourage those in domestic violence situations to reach out for help? We had a guest last week, or last guest, I should say, and she talked, her book is about taking the brave first step, right? It's very difficult to take that first step and walk away from it. Many people stay in those relationships for years before they can get up the courage to do that. So what do you advocate for victims of domestic violence?
Absolutely. Studies have shown that on average, it takes 7 times for a survivor to leave before they leave for good. There are so many barriers, so many things in people's way to be able to escape, and it can be a really scary time. So we try to let people know as in many ways as we can that there is help out there. There are resources. We go to events, we do outreach events, and we'll go to pet events and things like that in the community just to bring awareness to this issue and also try to reach people who may need our services who wouldn't know otherwise that we exist. And sometimes people are able to approach our table as opposed to one on domestic violence because it's got the pets, it's got animals. And so people might feel a little bit more comfortable broaching that subject, especially if they're there with an abuser. But we just try to tell people it's so important to reach out, even if you're not ready right in this moment. Everybody is on their own time. Everybody knows themselves and their own situations better than anyone else. And it can be so dangerous to leave. So we try to tell people, reach out though. There are people out there, there are programs out there. There's a national domestic violence hotline that you can call. They also accept texting. It's a texting line. We have a 24-hour crisis line here in Georgia. I know our state coalition has a hotline that you can call. And it's important just to connect with someone, even if you're not ready to leave. And even if when you do leave, you're not going to be going into shelter. There are advocates there who can help you with safety planning and help you to be safe during this process of leaving, and just tell you what resources are out there that can help so that you can kind of just start that process of planning in your head. You don't have to be ready to leave just yet to reach out for help.
I think that's very wise to have a plan, because if you're just doing it spur of the moment, that may or may not work, but it's going to be harder. You won't have a plan in place of where to go and who to reach out to and how to stay safe. But if you've been in connection with Ahimsa House and the other organizations that you connect people with, you can start to put the pieces of the puzzle together. You can see the path being laid out before you. You know that there is a way and that there are people who are going to hold your hands and pray with you and, support you and lift you up in this very difficult time. And mostly you can make sure that you make a safe exit, because I am aware of people who have been maimed, who have been killed, and it is a very difficult situation. You want to plan in advance a safe exit, and you want to have a few things packed ready to go with you. So yes, I totally agree about that. And we talked about the pets. Mostly we think of cats and dogs, but what other kind of pets have you helped with?
We've helped with so many. We say we don't discriminate against any, species of animal or number of pets. We've had horses, rabbits, turtles, snakes, rats. We even had a call for chickens, and we've had a call for goats. And there are people, especially here in Georgia, where their livestock are part of their pets, part of their family. And so we make accommodations we do whatever we can to provide accommodations for any of those animals. And it's been amazing, really. It's like you get the animals that you think are going to be the most difficult to place or find foster homes for. And when you put out that call, the community really does rally around you and make it happen. It's amazing to me. We've gotten so many of our amazing boarding partners through some calls like that, where it's been an exotic animal or something, and now they're just longtime partners of ours and help with lots of different pets that we get in.
Wow. And what's the average length of time if someone's listening and they want to be a foster pet parent? What is the average length of time that maybe they might be looking at?
It used to be 60 days because we kind of set up our program based on a domestic violence shelter model, which is typically 60 days. But again, since 2020, it has been longer. Our own stays have gone up to, I think, an average of 88 days, so right around 90 days. But we're able to accommodate that. We've done whatever we can because we understand people can't just get their pets back, after 60 days sometimes, right? There are obstacles in their way. So we try to provide as much accommodation as we can to extend that time and let them take the time they need to find that housing.
It warms my heart to know that there are good people out in the world doing something like this to help others who are trying to get back their lives and live a good life. And so tell us, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to mention that I know that our model, it can be difficult to be separated from your pet. We certainly know that. And our advocates are kind of the go-between between our clients we're serving and our foster homes that are housing their pets. And so we provide pictures and videos, and sometimes our foster homes write letters, and one of them even does newsletters just with updates on what their pets are doing so that we can update them. But it's been interesting, the feedback that we've received that we didn't expect from our program participants are that, it's hard to be away from their pet, but having someone else taking care of their pet, they can focus their energy on themselves and getting themselves better and ready and able to start this new life. And so it's actually been helpful for them to have someone else caring for their pet so that they can kind of focus inward for a bit.
And I remember years ago that the pets' locations were kept secret so that there's no harm to the foster pet parents. Is that still the case?
Yes, that is the case. We do have many layers of confidentiality, especially when a foster home is being utilized. We do have boarding facilities that we work with that partner with us that are amazing, and they provide discounted boarding rates for us. And they sometimes allow our clients to visit their pets there, which has been really amazing, especially if it's in their local community. And our partners say we want that. That's why we're helping. That's why we're partnering with you, because we want to help those people and we want them to be able to see their pets.
Beautiful. So tell us about how folks who are interested can find out about volunteering. What kind of opportunities are there for volunteering? And how can someone make a contribution if they'd like to Ahimsa House?
Absolutely. So all of that information can be found on our website, which I'll give you the address at the end. There it is, www.ahimsahouse.org. And we have various volunteer opportunities, we have hotline volunteers who take hotline calls overnight and on weekends to give our staff a break. And so we have those positions. It does require a 10-hour training before you can go on the hotline, but we provide that training free of charge. We also have transport volunteers who help drive pets around to different vet appointments, you know, and back to their foster home, or for reunification transports, which are everyone's favorite because those are the sweet, loving, heartwarming ones that will just leave you in tears afterwards. We also have foster homes, obviously, which are crucial to provide the services that we provide. And we also have outreach volunteers. So I mentioned earlier, we go to community events. Sometimes it's just a general community event, and sometimes it's pet-related events. And we have volunteers who staff our booths for us just to help raise awareness about our services and get the word out that we're here and able to help. And we also have volunteers who help us with special events. So we might have a couple of fundraisers a year, and we have volunteers who help with that. So we really have a huge network of volunteers that are amazing and keep us going every day.
That's fantastic. And what types of donations do you take? Obviously, I'm sure you take cash donations, but do you take pet supplies and things like that as well?
Yes. So we have a wish list. We actually have two different wish lists up on our website. One is just a general wish list that, you know, a lot of times companies may do a donation drive or something, and they can go off of that. We also have an Amazon wish list where you can purchase directly from that Amazon wish list, and it is shipped directly to us. And then from there, we're able to distribute it. If you're local to Metro Atlanta, people drop off. We take dog beds, toys, food, treats, all of those things. And so we're able to take those donations as well.
Fabulous. This is wonderful. It's very heartwarming to have you here today. And I hope for those who are listening to this live or to the replay that you will keep this in mind. If you ever need the help, or you know someone who does, please pass this along. We want to make sure that our people and our pets are kept safe. And thank you all for being here and watching today. And Myra, thank you for being on the show. Now, before we go, I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of the resources that we have available to you here. At Divorcetown USA, you can download the Divorcetown USA roadmap you see here, which includes an ebook that explains each of the options: Put Kids First Parkway, Amicable Avenue, Financials First Freeway, and where we want to keep you away from, which is Duke It Out Drive and Bigger Bucks Boulevard. That is not the way that we hope most folks will go through divorce. So we help you understand which one is best for you and your family, and it outlines other professionals and resources you may need to access along the way. We also have a lot of free articles and videos, and our marketplace features some of our favorite products and services that we found to help you through the divorce process. So we hope you can reach out at divorcetownusa.com. At Divorce Money Matters, you can download our free divorce financial fitness kit. And this kit is going to help you get better organized so you can better maintain an understanding of your money matters during the divorce. I have created an Excel working spreadsheet with a list of everything you need to gather when you're getting prepared to divorce, along with a list of must-ask questions if you're going to hire an attorney, so you know what you're getting into. Because without knowing the questions to ask, you could step into a lot of problems. So feel free to download that at divorcemoneymatters.com. And then Divorcetown USA also sponsors a virtual help and hope support group through Meetup. We meet once or twice a month via Zoom. And this is open to people across the country. Meeting dates and times are always posted at Divorcetown USA in the events section and on meetup.com. And then next week, we're going to be switching gears from Domestic Violence Awareness Month to Breast Cancer Awareness Month. October is the month for both. And as a breast cancer survivor, a two-time survivor, and the daughter of a survivor, I am going to be your guest, and we're going to be talking about all things related to breast cancer, as well as how it relates to divorce. And so I look forward to having you here next week. We hope you found this week's episode of the Divorce Do's and Don'ts show helpful. And we look forward to seeing you all next week and every week as we continue improving the way the world divorces one family at a time. Thank you for watching.